All right, number 20. Some pro-lifers are not people concerned with child welfare. Therefore, some pro-lifers are people unconcerned with child welfare. Okay, so first thing I do always is I look to find my conclusion and my premise. I've got a nice conclusion indicator word here with therefore, so now I know what my premise is and my conclusion. So the next step is to identify my terms. So I see one term here is pro-lifers. I'm going to go ahead and represent that with P. So P is pro-lifers. And then I've got predicate terms that are different from one another. I've got people concerned with child welfare and people unconcerned with child welfare. And so I can only have two terms in this argument, not three, okay? So what I can do is I can say C is going to be people concerned with child welfare. And then when I want to say people who are not concerned, I'll just say non-C. All right, so some P, some pro-lifers, are not C, people concerned with child welfare. Therefore, the argument claims, some P are not, or I'm sorry, are. They're non-C. All right. So what I'm trying to figure out is this a valid argument? And I'm going to work from the assumption that the premise is true. And what I want to know is if the premise is true, would the conclusion also have to be true? So the easiest way for me to tackle that is to identify the things about the subject, about the premise and the conclusion that are different from one another. So one thing I can see is that they have a different quality. The premise is negative, but the conclusion is affirmative. So I know quality is a difference here. And then the other difference I see is right here. I've got one of them, not two. Okay, so what that tells me is this. I've got to look for an operation that would change the quality and change that predicate term to its term complement. There's only one operation that changes the quality, and that's aversion. Okay, so aversion works like this. The first thing we do is we change the quality of the statement. And in this case, we would go from negative to affirmative. And then the second step of aversion is to change the predicate term to its term complement. And that's exactly what's been done here. So I recognize now that somebody's used aversion on that premise to generate that conclusion. So the question for us now is, okay, if you avert that statement, will this truth value of true carry over to the statement that results from aversion? And the answer to that is yes. With aversion on any proposition, the truth value of the original statement is the same truth value as the new statement you've created. And that's what makes this argument valid, because if the premise is true, the conclusion will also have to be true.